So during this week, we have been talking about diversity. And like we remember, some of us, what is diversity? So some people, that's a new word. To other people, it's something that we have been used to. If we look around this space now, one thing that is common is that we have people from various backgrounds, people from various way of life, learning to live together, learning to respect each other, and learning to bring their own sense of culture and identity and to grow other people. And that is what we see diversity is. And during this period, I think we've heard so much about how difference can be good, how things like physical appearance, things like the way I choose to dress, tells someone about me, defines me, and helps them identify special traits about me. Or is it a ball? That can be different things to different people. We've seen that to every one of us, when we did this exercise, we were able to understand things that the next person saw that we didn't see. We were open to ideas. Our horizons were open, and that is where it starts from. The ability to open ourselves to learning, to respecting other people, to communicating in ways that when they hear what we're saying, what they see is not emotions, but they see facts. They hear what we are trying to communicate to them. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. And we saw about intercultural communication, that it's just basically the ability for everyone to communicate in different settings across cultures. So that means I need to be aware of who I am, what I like, what I don't like, so that in the circumstance where it needs that I speak up, I do that respectfully. When in a group, I have to stand up and point out that something is wrong, that I am able to say, yes, I believe in this. This is what I am. And if I don't speak up at this point, it affects my identity. It affects my core, my purpose of being here. And that's what we've learned in this period. We've done a lot of exercises whereby we stimulated our biases a bit. We have assumptions because we are all like, hey, he's from Iraq. People from Iraq are like that. Why not take time to know that individual who is from Iraq? Because he might have certain qualities that we need to better ourselves. So when we let our assumptions stand on the way of getting to know or getting to tap in to the bias, to the qualities of other people, we are losing value. We are losing the fact that we can better ourselves and grow. And we have seen this. We have also communicated in conflict times, right? When someone has to maybe approach the teacher and say, hey, based on what I did, I am not satisfied with the grades you gave me. I am not satisfied with the way you spoke to me. I feel that I should be respected more. And when communicating that you are able to see facts, say facts, and actually take down the emotions. Because when we communicate with emotions in front, every other thing we are saying takes the back seat. And no one is listening at that point anymore. And that's the idea that when we think of ways that we communicate in groups like this, handle difficult conversations. It could be your boss in the future telling you something you should do and you feel like, not for me. That it goes against my core. It goes against my principle or my purposes. And you have to say, excuse me, I respect you. I respect my job. I value my time here. But hey, I would respectfully disagree. I would respectfully say no. When we learn those skills, people would not see an angry person. And like we remember, in such situations, we have every right to be angry. But when we think about what anger can do, the conflict it can breed, we've seen it. And we knew when we talked about in groups that conflict comes very easy when we don't understand each other or when we don't see eye to eye on certain matters. And that's where we start is from going back inside. How do I respect the next man? What do I want people to do to me? Imagine I was the one, or you were the one standing here. What kind of reception do you want people sitting here to give you? Why would you give less? Because the truth is, at times, when we want people to respect us, what we need to do first is to show them respect. To show them that we are willing to step out of that comfort zone, that place where we are right, that place where we stand on our rights, and say, I see you, I value you, I respect you, I want to learn from you, irrespective of where you're from, irrespective of your religion, your identity, your sexuality, or anything, that you are able to be you. That person who is able to communicate facts. And we saw this, which is something very germane to our building. And like we discussed, the idea of this is for it to help every one of us to understand who we are and to define where we are going. But we've done a bit of review. Now today I'm going to give you something special. Why I say this is something special, this is the first time I am presenting this material to anyone. Usually when I do that, I present it to people who are doing businesses, people who are starting businesses, or people who have already been too long in businesses. But you have something that is nice that I'm presenting to you now because you are very young, you're fresh. Your ideas are about to take you to places you don't know. So it's the time of experimentation. I'm trying to find out who I am, what I like, how do I grow, where do I come from? And it's this. What I call this is this origin story loop. Long-term strategic planning. What does it mean? Big language, right? It simply means I'm here today, right? And I want to come here tomorrow. How do I navigate the journey? The missteps. That if I take a wrong step from here, I'm down. Of course, I can come back up and continue. But how do I become careful that in the process of going from here to there, that I'm able to go very easy, avoid problems, avoid conflicts, understand who I am, who I want to be. And that's the point here. Because at every point of human life, we have to say, how do I improve from what I am now? How do I get better to become that person who wants to be the president of Finland, that person who wants to start a company, that person who wants to work for someone else? What are people who want to do something that people have never thought about? That people tell you, you're crazy for thinking that. It can never happen. It all starts from here. It all starts from what you do now. It all starts from what you're planning to do today. Because when you start thinking, okay, how do I improve myself so that I become that astronaut, that president, that thing I want to be, it starts from knowing which way to go. And in every stage of life, what we do is we repeat what we know, right? And it goes back and forth. That's improvement. When we do it multiple times, we are getting better. It's a good thing. Up there, it's also a process of review, whereby I want to improve. But I have to also think back what I have been doing in the past. How did I get here? Where did I come from? And what it means that we got to come back to, okay, we are improving. But look at the trick here. When we say we move from the point where we improve, and we go wrong way. What are the benefits? What are the pluses? What are the minuses? Simply this. If we come this way, which is also a way we can go off our track, what happens is we would get benefit. We will get somewhere. But do you know that it does not bring the very best version of me? It doesn't bring the very best product in there. It doesn't give the best service out there. It just gives something. It's good, it's okay, but it's not the best. Then how do you get to the best? So when we improve by repeating what we are doing, we're growing, right? We're getting somewhere. But we are stuck there. We don't move further than that. When we improve by reviewing the things we do, we are going somewhere good. It improves us. We are getting somewhere. We are good at what we do, but we are not the best. But when we want to be the best at what we do, this is the step to go. It starts from where we want to improve, considering all factors between the review and what we've been repeating. We keep going on the path where we have taken all the factors into consideration. And that's the optimal path. That's the path that when we continue straight, it would lead us to where we want to be. And that's why we say, when you get to this optimal point, there's still possibility to keep growing, to keep discovering who you are, to keep discovering the best version of you, up to the point where you get to what we call the origin story loop. And we remember in the origin story loop, what it means is at that point where you say, this is me, this is my identity, you've experimented, you've implemented all the solutions, you've thought about which way an idea is to work, and you come to that point where you say, this is how I can keep getting better. And that's the goal. It's a very big thing to think about now, but I know sometime this might come really handy for you. So, what are we talking about now? I'm going to now tell you a bit of story about myself. Why I'm telling you this story is for you to understand where we've come from and what is possible for you guys to achieve. You have wonderful opportunities that you do not know. And at times when I see how you guys throw opportunity into the dustbin, it makes me sad. It could be better. I'm going to tell you why I said that. I know it's a very strong word to use. It's very probably harsh. But it's the truth. And for us to change what we are doing to get better, we have to tell ourselves the hard truth. That is my grandfather. The one on the right. That picture was taken in the year 1965. I'm sure most of your parents were not born then. Why did I choose to share this picture? You could tell in 1965 already, my grandfather was dealing with a white man, right? Back in the days, I wasn't born, my father was very young then. But I started thinking about my story and why it is that this picture and this is possible. It meant that he was hungry. It made that he had to go prove himself, right? He had to show, I have something to give. And that is what might make this possible. And we know, based on our making friends, you only get to people or get to be close to people you value. And I thought, this is something that brings value to me. He was a very rich man, but died very early, right before my age. And all of it, everything he worked for was gone. He died in India because he was going back and forth, trading between India and Nigeria. So So you understand what it means for someone to want value and to pursue it. That's my father. That's me on the right, and that's my younger brother. You can tell from the background, we were not very rich. We weren't hungry. We were getting by. But it was just basically day-to-day life. So think about it. My grandfather was very wealthy, but because he died early, my dad lost everything. But how did that impact my story? How did that affect me? When I started thinking about this, my background, why I'm here, what do I want to be, what's my purpose here, then I started thinking about this. And I can tell you, you remember this? Where I told you about myself. When I was growing up, what I did was I was curious. I was everywhere. I wanted to know why things work like that. I wanted to know how things really worked. And what it made that I broke everything. I stayed curious. But what does that, how did that take me? I was a ninth grader like you at one point. And believe me, what these guys are doing here, I probably did worse. And I was very confused about which direction to go in life. I think most of you are at that point now, where I don't know myself. I don't know what I want. I don't know why am I here. I don't understand nothing. Why is the world working like this? Why is there racism? Why is there problems everywhere? Why is there conflict? You're not making sense of it. And yes, guys, it's true. You cannot make sense of it at this point. But believe me, at one point in your life, I can tell you something. It would just click. And when it clicks, you will just be amazed at how everything you've been thinking, you don't understand, lines up and makes all of a sudden perfect sense. And that's where you're going. But how do you get there? Look at what I did. Has anyone seen this kind of picture? This is a picture from Lagos. If you know about Lagos, Lagos is a city with over 40 million people. Very crowded on a very good. From 4 o'clock in the morning, it's already going. I grew up in Lagos. I went to school where I knew that I wanted to travel. I wanted to go around the world to see things. I wanted to be educated, not only by the standard I grew up in, but I wanted to get more than life was offering me. So at an early age, I already started thinking, how do I get my dreams? You saw the picture I showed to you. My father wasn't rich. I could only go to school, right? We could eat. But that's all. I probably didn't have as much opportunity as you guys have now. The opportunity to have the internet. I know life without the internet is really not possible, right? There was no telephones in your hands. You had to travel to a particular spot to call. So imagine this, not having that opportunity, then thinking that I want to go somewhere else, that I didn't have the money, I didn't know who was going to make it happen. But you know what? I believed it was possible. I worked. I was curious. Why I showed you this bus is I had to get up with no money, jump the bus, standing like that, to get to the section in Lagos where they were buses. I would knock on the gate, and the gate man would come. What do you want? I just want to find out if you have any scholarship program that could take me to a university in your country. And guess what I got many times? Get out of here, small boy, what do you know? It didn't stop me. I started from the Australian embassy, all the way, kept going. And one day, I knocked at the Brazilian embassy. And the fine man in the gate told me, "Hi, really, come. Other students are inside. There's a program going on." I didn't find this on the internet. It was not in Google. I needed to use this to move, to go find that information. That was the first opportunity I got to travel out of Nigeria. And when I showed that to my father, that I got a visa, a school, to go study abroad, he didn't believe any of that. He never knew when I was doing it until it was ready. So imagine how proud my father was to discover that I made that bold step. Why I tell you this is you have a lot of opportunities in your hands. And I see some people really enjoying the entertainment part of it. You are whiling time. You are spending time on things that are not going to build you, that is not going to make you better. Those things are nice. They help you unwind. They help you get away from things you need to distract you. But what do you think if you keep distracted 24 hours, what will happen to you? You would not see the result now. It's maybe in 10 years, in 15, in 20. And you will look, where did that time go? And believe me, it flies. You are 15, 20, you are 16 now. Before you know it, you are 24, you are 30, you are 40. What would you show? What would you say you can offer in a group to help the next man? You cannot achieve it by being on that device. You can achieve it by taking the pain, like I took, jumping a bus like that. And believe me, to get a bus like that, it's not that you just walk there like we go to the bus stop and just stand. And the bus driver comes and says, "Hey, get it." This is what it took to get to that bus. It's not for the brave, it's not for the faint-hearted. You have to fight to get in. If not, you would wait and wait and wait. You would lose your money, pickpockets. You would lose things. You would lose your clothes. You would get it. But hey, can you imagine? Did I remember all these struggles on that day I was handed my visa, my education certificate, my application, my paper to school in Brazil? No. The joy I felt made all this go. The same way is when you make the sacrifice you are supposed to make now, and it takes pain. The sacrifice of, let me respect the other person. Let me be the best version of me in a group. Let me speak up when I need to speak up. Let me kill my biases and open myself to learn about him. What can I learn from him to make me better? What can I learn from her to make me better? And when I keep gathering all this information, in 10, 15 years, I would have like massive knowledge of things or what to do. And that's the goal. I showed you this picture. I will fast fast forward to the point where I came from Brazil. You would imagine, what happened to Brazil? Why Finland? It was 1.5 years in Brazil that I realized my goal here is not met. This school is not meeting what I want from life. I did a very crazy thing. I packed up my bag, went back to Nigeria. So imagine the shock when my father saw me coming back home. I said, okay, he thought I came to visit. 1 month, 2 months, 3, nothing was happening. 4, are you not going back? No. It was a disappointment. I knew what I was doing. I couldn't explain it to somebody. I couldn't even explain it to my dad. But I believed so hard that I could get it. I believed that if I made that step back to Nigeria, I could fail. But otherwise, what is the option? Not trying. I stayed in Nigeria for about 3 years after I went back. Why? Because I couldn't actually go back. And I will tell you why. September 11 happened. I was supposed to go to the US to continue my study. But the US said, nope, we're not letting anybody in anymore. So imagine me from Brazil leaving my study place, back in Nigeria, to the very same spot where I started, no options. But luckily I had information. I was equipped with knowledge now. My trip to Brazil gave me the information that I needed to start navigating. I started working. That was when I discovered that Finland offered a free tuition place to anyone who is smart enough to try. And guess what? That was my lane. That's how I ended up here. It was not a journey for the faint-hearted. Pain, no money. I got my tickets. I don't have money to buy a flight. Sorry, I got my. You are not able to go to the bank to say, okay, bank, give me. But hey, you could call on your friend. Can I get maybe 5, 10? That's how I ended up here. So imagine when I came here to this, after all those trouble. One thing I determined was I was going to make good of this, no matter what was in my way. Nothing was going to stop me. I was going to be the best here. And I can tell you, it wasn't easy. It was very difficult. Because we know how it is in Finland back in the days. That's the reality it is. Not a lot of foreigners. So for me to prove myself, I had to actually say, I'm here. I can do it. Look at me. And guess what? 90% of the time, I got this. But I said no. My determination was, this I am going to make the best of it. I started working in a company called Planmaker. Worked there for 10 years and said, it's time. I quit my job out of the blue. Think of me as an immigrant. I got one of the finest jobs in Finland at that time and decided, I've had enough. A foreigner in Finland starting a business. I kept pushing. I did start my first business. Failed after 1 year. Second business, which some people might know, the first African restaurant in Finland was started by me. It failed because of the corona. Did I stop there? I started my third company, which is what I'm doing now. And you know what it is? It was born from my passion. You could tell something about me. I love public speaking. I love teaching. I love talking to people. I knew that was what I was good at. But all the while, I was pursuing something that would help me to become this, right? But it took a long process. What I'm asking of you today is to avoid the long way to get to the best version of you. And it starts now. No, it doesn't start now. It started yesterday. Why did I say that? You were supposed to have made that move yesterday, but no worries, it's not too late. Yesterday is gone, we start now. So what I want you to do, please, is to go back. Personal reflection. I was stepping to Mahmoud, I think, during this time. And I remember that the way we could relate, especially when we talk about things in class. And I understood something. At times, some of us, we are very happy to be very funny. We are happy to be this guy that, everybody likes. At times, we need to step out of that and show I am a likable person, but at the same time, I'm somebody you want to take very seriously. I want my words to matter to you. I want you to take me the way you want to be taken. And at times, you might need to push for that. One of the things I've achieved very much in life that I love is this. That I'm able to come together and say, people from various backgrounds, people from various religions, people from various cultures can come together. And what we can start doing is this. We just have to start talking how to solve our problems. It's not even having the solution. The idea is, let's start talking. And that has built to this organization, which I am very proud of in Finland. Integrate. And what we do on that platform is we bring people from various backgrounds, put them in one position or in one place, and say, this is the problem we are dealing with in Helsinki. This is the problem we are dealing in Vesala. Let's talk about how we can solve it. We don't know how, but I know by the time me, you two together come, when we start talking, we would have brilliant ideas. And when we start having those brilliant ideas, we can start programming solutions. We can start experimenting with solutions. That's where it started, and that's what it's become today. An organization that brings people together, forms community. Why I have said that to you is that you can start now doing anything you believe in. And don't let no one tell you otherwise. Don't let no one tell you you cannot do it. It's time. It started from yesterday. We're finishing, but I want to leave you with these 3 words or phrases or mantra. Make it your own mantra today. Believe hard. Never stop. Don't give up. What does it mean to believe hard? Your best friend can tell you your idea is so stupid that I can flush it down the toilet. If you believe that and stop what you believe in, you're not going to get where you go. So at times, when everyone around you is telling you, that road you're seeing, there ain't no road there. That's when you're going to say, wait, I'm going. If you believe it. Stay curious. Ask the right questions. Get to know what other people want. Learn to understand what other people feel. How does it work? And when you have done all this, never stop. Never stop until you get to your destination. And when you get to your destination, you will know. Thank you so much for the week. I will tell you something.